Be me, Drew, 30, project coordinator at mid-size office supply company called Staple Path. Warehouse downstairs, sales upstairs. Job mostly scheduling deliveries, answering annoyed emails from schools and offices, fixing spreadsheets that mysteriously break every Monday. Office vibe, normal tired capitalism. People gossip near printer, complain about coffee, go home, and forget company exists until morning. HR before everything was Mike, balding dude with dad jokes, handled contracts and health insurance, appeared twice a year, otherwise invisible. One morning, Outlook spits new invite. All hands, welcoming our director of respect and accountability, mandatory. Title feels like someone shook 3 LinkedIn posts and a TED Talk in Blender, poured out job description smoothie. We cram into break room, folding chairs, stale muffins, projector showing slide with pastel background, and word, respectful futures. CEO walks in with woman early 30s, sharp jaw, short haircut, pantsuit that looks more expensive than my car. Lanyard covered in pins, believe women. Boys will be held accountable. Yes, it's my business. Tiny megaphone charm hanging. CEO introduces her as Harper Wells, expert in feminist workplace systems, hired to take our culture to the next level. Harper smiles slow, scans room like security camera, voice calm and rehearsed. Every sentence sounds like printed out from think piece. Talks about long history of women doing emotional labor at work, smoothing egos, cleaning kitchens, planning birthdays, not getting credit. Says men float on invisible raft of kindness, while women tread water under them, holding raft up with bare hands. Explains that good intentions are not enough. Company must build structures that redistribute care and accountability onto those historically benefiting. Final slide appears. Huge title. The accountability era begins today. Subheading, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Few women clap. Couple guys stare at phones. One warehouse dude whispers, "Uh-oh," into his coffee. Afternoon email lands. Subject, launching Respect Ledger, small choices, real consequences. Harper explains new internal app where employees log micro interactions, especially when men show or fail to show respect. Women can award or subtract points from male coworkers based on tone, helpfulness, interruptions, vibe, basically anything. Only men have visible scores, called Accountability Index, updated daily, tied to promotions, bonuses, permission to represent company externally. Footnote says, due to historical imbalance, women will not receive negative scores this cycle. This is repair, not revenge. Translation: women immune, men living inside invisible video game where every conversation can cost career points. Next day, phones ding, Respect Ledger installed automatically, little red icon glaring from home screen like angry notification gremlin. By lunch, my index already down 5 points because I walked away while coworker was still talking, according to anonymous entry. Remember, I had literally run to bathroom after spicy tacos, apparently bladder emergencies not an official list of acceptable excuses. End of week, Harper posts leaderboard in hashtag announcements, top allies with green scores, bottom list of men who have work to do. My face sitting near bottom with yellow bar and sad emoji, mixture of embarrassment and mild homicidal ideation washes over me. Harper congratulates top names, says they will get first dibs on conference travel and leadership development pods. Everyone quietly understands who is getting raises, who gets stuck guarding office plants during holidays forever. Couple guys joke about farming points by holding doors dramatically. Others mutter about Stalin, but keep voices low near smoke alarm. Few weeks pass. Respect ledger becomes constant background hum. Dings when I forget thank you. Dings when email sounds curt. Start writing messages like hostage note. Hey, no worries either way, just gently circling back if that's okay. Harper releases update, new feature called reflection prompts. App randomly sends men questions like, what harmful story did you embody today? Expected to answer in free text. Entries visible to HR as evidence of growth trajectory. Failure to answer subtracts points automatically. Spend one Tuesday evening on couch typing paragraph about how sighing when copier jammed may have signaled contempt toward unseen women. Girlfriend reads over shoulder, asks if I joined cult. I joke that at least cults sometimes give matching robes. Month 2, Harper calls meeting just for men. Schedule title. From accidents to accountability, next steps for you. She thanks us for staying in discomfort zone, says real change requires preemptive responsibility, not just reaction. Introduces new program, mandatory weekly accountability letters. Every male employee must submit one-page letter each Friday describing 3 ways he might have caused harm that week. Letters go to HR inbox, stored in personal growth files, may be referenced during reviews to measure depth of insight. Someone asks, what if you genuinely didn't harm anyone? Harper smiles, says, that's unlikely given systemic context. Dig deeper. So every Friday, I sit at desk inventing crimes, writing things like, maybe my joke about Mondays minimized centuries of unpaid domestic exhaustion. Meanwhile, real job piles higher, inbox overflowing, but can't submit blank letter unless enjoy threat of development conversation. 3 months into Harper era, CEO announces huge potential client, nationwide chain of co-working spaces called Nest Hive. Deal would triple revenue, finally let us replace coffee machine that growls like dying raccoon every morning. Nest Hive sends delegation to tour facility, meet team, sign big multi-year contract if impression good. Harper, ecstatic, says we can demonstrate to clients what accountability-driven culture looks like in practice, not just policy. Few days before visit, she unveils next evolution. Consent to communicate protocol. Explains that women often blindsided by male questions or feedback feel cornered in meetings or hallways. New rule: before any man asks work-related thing from woman, feedback, request, even meeting invite, he must send consent prompt through app. Woman can tap approve, set boundaries like email only, no after 4 p.m., or ignore, which counts as soft no. Harper says this protects women's nervous systems from ambush demands, gives them power to shape interactions. Ask what happens when deadlines same day. She responds that poor planning on men's part cannot justify violating women's boundaries again. My job basically hurting projects by chasing answers from half-dozen people, foresee career spontaneously combusting like cheap charger. Next week, productivity drops harder than my faith in humanity. Men waiting hours for approvals just to ask simple questions. People start padding emails with, only respond if this feels okay for you today. Deadlines slip quietly like ice cubes off hot hood. Nest Hive visit scheduled for Wednesday. Biggest prep day Tuesday afternoon. We still missing numbers from pricing analyst Kara. Need them for slide deck summarizing discount tiers. Otherwise, pitch looks like improv show about mysterious, competitive pricing. Send Kara consent prompt requesting quick call. App shows status pending reflection. Apparently, she in deep thought or cat video. Harper walks by, reminds me that pushing for faster response is itself a boundary violation. Suggests I examine urgency addiction. End up building half-finished deck using last quarter prices, promising myself I will update morning of visit if numbers appear magically. Tuesday night almost done when Respect Ledger pings with banner, special event, community accountability circle. Tomorrow 9 a.m., men required. Description says circle is chance for Nest Hive visitors to witness brave male vulnerability as we unpack everyday harms. Sounds like worst possible crossover between group therapy and product demo, but attendance mandatory for all who identify as men. Wednesday morning circle happens in big conference room, chairs in large ring, diffuser puffing lavender like office hotbox. Harper sits next to Nest Hive people, invites each guy to share one way you failed women this week. I mumble something about forgetting to wipe microwave after reheating spaghetti. Guy from warehouse nearly cries talking about leaving wet towels at home. Nest Hive reps look politely horrified, like they walked into adult daycare for guilty dads instead of B2B supplier. After circle, Harper insists we do quick exercise called preemptive apologies. Hands out printed cards with blank lines, instructs every man to write apology beginning, "I'm sorry for the harm my behavior will inevitably cause." Says these contracts symbolize willingness to be held accountable by women colleagues. We must sign, date, place cards in box labeled future repairs. Nest Hive legal counsel lady raises eyebrow, whispers something to their COO, who suddenly looks very awake. Box of pre-signed apologies placed on side table like cursed urn. Harper beams. Says this shows how serious we are about responsibility. After circus finally ends, we rush to set up actual presentation. Laptop, brochures, sample catalogs, snack table with off-brand sparkling water. I check email. Still no updated numbers from Kara. Consent prompt unanswered. Boundaries apparently still under construction. Have choice between using old pricing or telling client spreadsheet feelings are not ready yet. Pick lesser humiliation and pray. Presentation begins. I walk Nest Hive team through slides. Try sounding confident while praying. Harper doesn't spontaneously introduce another ritual mid-pitch. COO eventually asks detailed question about volume discount at certain order size. I quote number from old file like condemned man reading recipe. He frowns, says their analyst got different figure from our website this morning, 10% lower, asks which is real. Stomach drops, quickly check site on phone under table. Realize marketing quietly updated page last night without telling me because consent prompt backlog. Try to smooth over, saying, we're in middle of updating documentation, but damage visible in man's expression. After tour, they retreat to CEO's office for private chat, Harper tagging along to brag more about emotional justice no one ordered. Afternoon drags like dial-up connection. Finally, email arrives from CEO. Subject, follow-up questions from Nest Hive Legal. Attached PDF listing concerns. Top bullet point about our culture, requiring only men to sign self-incriminating apology contracts for unspecified harms. Next bullet about Respect Ledger, storing detailed logs of perceived misconduct accessible to HR without clear criteria or appeal process. Note from their lawyer says these systems create significant legal and reputational risk if Nest Hive associated as partner. Also mention confusion over inconsistent pricing. Ask whether delays getting basic information are linked to consent workflow restrictions. CEO not happy, vein in forehead now permanent feature. Calls emergency meeting with Harper. Legal, couple managers, including me, as collateral witness. Conference room atmosphere, heavy like wet blanket, stuffed with lawsuits. Harper arrives carrying folder of printouts and aura of righteous indignation. CEO reads Nest Hive concerns aloud, asks Harper to explain how apology box and respect ledger reduce, not increase, company risk. She launches into speech about centuries of unrecorded male harm, says, if men are behaving well, they have nothing to fear on paper. Legal counsel gently counters that pre-signed apologies plus vague logs equal goldmine for any future harassment attorney, not accountability. Turns out Nest Hive Legal quietly requested copy of our future repairs cards box during visit, took photos, emailed to their risk team. They apparently laughed for 10 minutes, then suggested not signing contract with store that pre-collects confessions like weird church. CEO asks why he was never told cards would be kept as official records tied to names. Harper insists she mentioned symbolic documentation in slide deck. Everyone glances around, no one recalls that phrase, probably tuned out after invisible raft of care work, metaphor number 5. Legal then shows printout from Respect Ledger admin panel, reveals gender filter on scores, screenshot clearly labeled, female staff exempt from negatives until parity achieved. Counsel explains that if any male employee sues claiming discrimination, these screenshots become Exhibit A through Z plus bonus alphabet. Harper says that's misreading restorative justice through patriarchal legal lens, insists courts need to evolve, not her program. CEO asks how many hours men spend weekly writing accountability letters instead of doing jobs, looks at me for ballpark. Admit it usually takes 30 to 45 minutes trying to invent plausible harms. Multiply by total male headcount. Watch math sink in. Room goes quiet. Only sound air conditioning and faint buzz of fluorescent lights burning out like our reputation. CEO finally exhales, says Nest Hive already backing away, investors asking questions. We can't afford culture project that scares lawyers more than fraud would. Tells Harper he appreciates passion, but she implemented high-risk programs without approval. Damaged major deal. Exposed company to discrimination claims. Announces Respect Ledger and Consent Protocol suspended immediately. Existing data access frozen pending outside review. Apology contracts physically destroyed. Adds that leadership has decided to end her employment effective today. HR generalist will handle transition. Thanks her for starting conversations. Harper's face cycles through disbelief, anger, faint victim glow, says she's punished for making men slightly uncomfortable for once. Legal quietly replies that making only men track imaginary sins in writing isn't slightly uncomfortable. It's targeted liability machine with push notifications. Meeting ends. Harper leaves with tiny plant and stack of inspirational quote frames. Box of apology cards already en route to shredder. Following week app vanishes from phones overnight. We wake up miraculously free of prompts asking how we harmed women in our dreams. CEO sends company-wide note saying we'll focus on simple fairness and competent work instead of experimental scoring systems for basic decency. New HR-led temporary older woman who cares mostly about whether you filled tax forms thinks Respect Ledger sounds like sci-fi dystopia movie. Nest Hive eventually signs reduced trial contract after we swear in writing that nobody will have to issue preemptive apologies just to ask questions. Office slowly relaxes. Jokes return to kitchen. People make eye contact without wondering if that costs them 3 index points. I still overthink emails sometimes. Habit of writing, if that's okay, stuck like bad song. But at least scoreboard gone. Months later, lying on couch scrolling phone, stumble across Medium article shared in progressive workplace group my girlfriend follows. Title screams, I was fired for holding men gently accountable, the cost of telling the truth at work. Author photo, obviously Harper, same jawline, now smiling sadly over latte. Caption about surviving corporate backlash. Skim article, she describes company as hostile male environment, where men refused minimal reflection, paints Respect Ledger as brave experiment crushed by fragile egos. Claims apology cards were playful symbolic exercise, says big client, chose profit over women's safety by objecting nowhere mentions legal concerns or discrimination. Scroll to comments, see people calling her hero, some asking for templates to start their own accountability era at offices. Close tab slowly, open anonymous board in other window, new thread button glowing like exit sign over clown show. Start typing. Be me. Guy who took normal office job and ended up writing weekly confession letters so staplers feel safe. Figure if world insists on importing her system, someone should at least share patch notes from first disaster run.